Keep your urban running adventures going all winter long with high-performance traction designed specifically for icy roads. The Katula Nano Spikes footwear traction have a low-profile design that won't affect your stride while running. The 10 ultra-tough tungsten carbide spikes give you traction that you can trust. Don't let the ice and snow stop you from reaching your goals. For more information, visit Katula.com.
Hey everybody, my name is Jason Bahamundi, and I want to thank you for joining us for our Tuesday Instagram Live Fireside Chat, or if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, thank you for joining us there as well. I'm super excited. Today we're going to be talking to Carla Marie Simon, who is a 100-mile ultra finisher, a Boston Marathon finisher, a 3-time medalist at the Special Olympics USA, and it's going to be an amazing conversation to chat with Carla. I had the pleasure of meeting her at Across the Years earlier as she went around a circle for a long time. Before I bring Carla on, just a couple of things. One is all of our Instagram Live chats are on our YouTube channel. Head over there, subscribe, so that you'll be notified when conversations go live in case you miss them. In addition to that, our newsletter drops tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter on our website or go through the link tree in our bio. Simple, just input your email address and you'll be alerted every 2 weeks with some information, news, articles that inspire and motivate. They are going to be the extraordinary stories of ordinary athletes, and we just love bringing them to you guys. And then lastly, if you want to hear me talk with Melody and Jacob Bateman from Trail to 100 podcast, I have posted it to our stories, or you can go to my personal account, Cook, Train, Eat, Race, and it's up there as well. It's on Apple and Spotify, and they are amazing people to chat with, and please head over there and listen to them, but only after you finish listening to me. If you have questions along the way, please be sure to put them either in the comment section and or the little question mark that's down below there on the bottom of your screen, and I'll be sure to ask Carla about them so that we get them answered for you. And perfect timing. Hey, Carla, how are you?
Doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm so excited to get to talk to you again. Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day.
Anytime.
So, Carla, we got to enjoy some time together under the tent over at Across the Years and chat. Tell the folks a little bit about yourself. I gave them some of your bio about being a 100-mile finisher, Boston qualifier, 3-time Special Olympic medalist. Give them more information about who Carla is before we dive into the questions.
Well, I was diagnosed with autism when I was 12 months old. I've also grew up with epilepsy and had struggled with seizures until I was in my early teens, late 20s, and so I didn't really get a start on life till later on. But later on after that, I figured out that what I was good at was running. But I was 192 pounds before I realized that I had something here. My mom had passed away, and so that got me more motivated to start running more. And then it turned into more than I thought it would end up being. I was starting to run 5Ks, then 10Ks, and it turned into halves and marathons. And then I met people that got me into this ultra thing and Ironman stuff. And so people that got me into more crazier stuff than I thought I would end up being, not knowing I'd be capable of all that.
Yeah. But isn't that true, right? We really don't know what we're capable of until we start trying and talking to people.
Yeah, and all the things I went through growing up, being hospitalized with seizures and brain surgery, I think but the stuff that I went through with running, like running a 200-miler, when I started off in that race, I was in pain, and then my joints just didn't like me. And all of a sudden, like Alm was saying, I suddenly started running this fast, and days later, and he's like, it was like a perfect comeback. He'd never seen anything like it. Like my mind was like, let's go.
I love it. So tell us a little bit more about participating at the Special Olympics and being a medalist there. What is that like?
Well, that's one of the main reasons that I found running in the first place. In Arizona, they had a run club, and I ended up joining. One of my track coaches convinced me that I could start running longer than I thought I would. So, and then they connected me with other people that would run with me, and then they connected with me with people that ended up getting me to run half marathons. and then ended up pacing me at my first full marathon. So then through Special Olympics, I met somebody to help me give me my first 100, well, first ultra 50 miler at Across the Years a few years ago. It was through that Special Olympics that I met them. So they're like, we can get you to your first ultra, and that's what they did.
That's amazing. So what events did you medal in at the Special Olympics?
Well, I've got a million medals from I've been doing Special Olympics since 2007 when I first lived in Wisconsin, then moved to Arizona. And but when I really started getting to competing nationally is when I moved to Arizona, and I got a silver medal in volleyball at the national games in Kentucky. And then the following year, I got picked to go to New Jersey for track and field. That's where I really got my running training in because I wanted to get fit for those games. And then my coach ended up having me run a mile. Then I'm like, I could do more than this. And then I got Grand Pats run, and I just worked my way up from there. And then I ended up winning a gold and 2 silvers in New Jersey in sprinting and walking and softball throw.
Hey, softball too.
Yeah.
How many sports are you just the jack of all trades? You want to get involved in all the sports?
Well, I could be now. I do like in Special Olympics up here. I'm doing swimming. I'm the only athlete that's doing the 400-meter swim because they don't have any other athletes that swim long distance. So I'm trying to get more people motivated, maybe to get into triathlon someday up here.
Well, you've got me motivated already. I mean, just the number of accomplishments, and more so than that, Carla, I think one of the things that I want to ask you about is your willingness to try. Like, it just seems like, yeah, I talked to this person and I did this. I talked to this person and I did that. Where does that come from? Where do you have this willingness to try and not worry? It seems, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems that you don't have a fear of failure.
Yeah, a lot of people with autism, I think it's one of our strengths with having autism is we have this motivation, like, to keep going. We don't feel pain like other people do it. And when we do feel pain, it's more harder than other people. So I think some of that has to do with it. And everything I had growing up or whatever, the things I went through, I think that helped me become stronger too for running. Thinking of all the pain I went through growing up.
In terms of what? Like physical pain or being picked on type of pain?
Oh, both kind of physical and just that feeling like I fit in with everybody.
Yeah. So today when you go to trail runs at Across the Years, for example, did you still feel that scenario in terms of being isolated, or did you feel welcomed by the community?
I felt welcome. There was a time where I was actually looking for new shoes, and all of a sudden this person appeared to give me shoes, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know you knew. Like they were thinking what I was thinking.
So let me give the audience a little background on this, because I met Carla at Across the Years, and when she came into the warming tent and the sleeping tent, I guess, like, you were covered in mud. And
I was. I still got pictures of that too.
Covered in mud, and you had your shoes untied. And you told me that the reason why you had to have your shoes untied was because your feet were killing you, and you had just found like this pair of shoes out of left field. And so I'm not surprised that you found somebody to help you out, because you were very personable to talk to and are truly an inspiration and motivation for others. Give us more scenarios of what happened while you were out there, because you did the 6-day at Across the Years, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So before you answer, hold on. For those of you who don't know, Across the Years is an event that takes place literally across the years over New Year's here in the Phoenix, Arizona area. And Carla chose to essentially move her body for what amounts to 144 straight hours. Give us more information about that event. What challenges did you not expect to have, and what was easier than you thought it would be?
Well, the challenges that I thought would be harder for me was the rain and the mud and whatever. But I ended up the first day that I came out there was rain and muddy too, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna want to do this, and I ended up pushing through. And I remember a scenario growing up when I was a kid. I used to love to play in the mud, so I'm like, this is my type of scenery, I guess, because as a kid I would play in the mud with the bees.
And so what was harder than you thought it would be then, if that was easier?
The hard part was telling my body I could keep moving. Like when I would get up, I'd almost fall over half the time.
So did you sleep during the 144 hours?
Yeah. So I maybe would sleep for a couple hours, especially when I was really, really pain. I'd maybe sleep for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, kudos to you and everybody else who ran around that circle for 6 days, because it's a really short track, and so it's not like you're getting to see a lot of different environmental changes either, right?
Yeah, especially like for those people that did the round the clock challenge. They did that thing where you had to run miles every hour, like and one of the other guys did. And I thought that's got to be harder than what I had to do.
It all sounds hard. I'm going to race at Jackpot at the beginning of March, and it'll be my first like loops type race, and I'm already petrified at the idea of running around a loop 50 miles. So kudos to you guys and being an inspiration to me.
I did that in last year. That Jackpot, I was there. I did the 100. I did 72 hours. Got a 100-mile buckle in it.
So what tips do you have for me then, for the guy who's afraid and nervous about running around in a circle for 50 miles?
Well, there's some parts that are a little bit darker than others. So like you'd have to watch out for there's more sidewalk than there is gravel, so it's a little bit more easier when it comes to less mud.
Gotcha. I'll keep that in mind. So for those of you who are just joining us, my name is Jason Bahamundi. I am the founder and one of the co-owners of Run Try Bike. We are talking to Carla Simon, who is a 100-mile ultra finisher, a Boston qualifier, a 3-time Special Olympic medalist who does it all, and is a super inspiring and motivating person. Carla, let's talk about your epilepsy that you have had to deal with and the intellectual disabilities. How do you use those in a way to help keep moving you forward? How do you leverage them from a positive angle?
Well, I leverage that, like I said, with my autism. It helps me mentally stay focused, so I can focus on something for hours, like with running or fitness. And sometimes people have to tell me to stop because sometimes I'm too focused and don't know how to rest.
Yeah, I can see that. Remember, rest is really important. So
yeah,
don't do that.
I know.
So with all different sports and accolades that you have accumulated, which one is the hardest for you? Which one is the one that when you see it on your training plan, you're like, man, I don't want to do this?
Well, I'm more trying biking in the wind is my hardest thing. I'm trying to work on doing aero because I'm doing my first full Ironman this year. I know in Arizona, though, you'll have to do aero going up the hills because it can be windy on the beeline, from my understanding, from what I've seen.
Yeah, so I raced Arizona in 2012, and you are in aero position a lot up and down the beeline. So definitely the more you can practice that out in Wisconsin while you're out there, the better it is for you when you get down here to be able to handle that, for sure.
Because I live by Lake Michigan, so it can get windy. So to me, it's perfect training.
Yeah, you just mentioned to me that you went outside and rode your bike today for 27 miles. How was that?
Yeah, there was a windy going out. I mean, I was surprised I still had a 12-mile-per-hour pace going out, but I mean, it was better coming back with the wind behind my back than I had a 13.8-mile-per-hour pace going back.
For you. So out of curiosity, are you doing a lot of this training on your own, or do you have training partners that join you?
Right now, mostly on my own because I had just moved here from Arizona in July, so I'm still trying to meet more people and figure out who else I can train with and do things with, because I live at Manitowoc. A lot of people I know live out in Green Bay.
Okay. How far away is Green Bay from you?
About 40 minutes, so it ain't too awful bad.
Yeah. So for all of you folks who are watching this out in Green Bay, get in touch with Carla, create a training group so that when she gets down here for Ironman Arizona in November, she'll be ready to rock and roll. Out of curiosity, why did you pick Ironman Arizona? I know you did the 70.3, but why the full in Arizona and not elsewhere?
Because I know the course. I've been on the beeline a ton because I lived there so many years. I kind of more familiar with it than I would be for Wisconsin. Although I did Wisconsin as my first half Ironman, and that was okay. But I feel for the people who did the full that last year because it rained and it was windy, it poured, it was cold. There was like a high did that finisher rate.
Yeah. So let's talk about the challenges of getting down here from Wisconsin. So what challenges are you having to face and deal with and plan between today, February 14th, through November, when the race takes place?
Making sure I have the equipment and can afford somewhere to stay, because nowadays transportation things can be more expensive than it used to be. And so like when I did half Ironman Arizona, I was lucky enough to find a triathlete friend who borrowed me one of his bikes that he built. It really worked well for me, so I'm hoping maybe I could do that again. He says I could use it any time, so I might use it for the full.
In this way,
it
saves you from having to pay to transport a bike down here then?
Yeah, that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know how.
So, yeah, well, yeah, and it's hard. As a person who has transported bikes in the past, it can be cumbersome to try to get a bike through the airport and get it here, and the worry that goes on with getting the bike to a particular place. So I understand that. Monetarily, we talked about the challenge of everything getting more and more expensive. For a person with intellectual disabilities, what of a bigger impact, I guess, is the best way to ask, is the financial component. Like, do you have more restrictions in being able to find employment that can cover, the cost of travel?
And that, and like finding the right employer that works with somebody with autism. Like, I don't know where I would look for that up here. I mean, when I worked for Albertson Safeway down in Arizona, and they were really supportive of my travel and taking off when I needed to go race. So I'm looking for something like that up here that supports people like us with disabilities who do triathlons and travel a lot.
And you mentioned during our pre-chat, the pandemic had a big impact on that.
Yeah, so I'm like, because as you can somewhat tell, I have a speech disability where I like blurb stuff where people can't understand me even without a mask on. So when I was wearing one, it made it more harder with my sensory issues because some people couldn't understand me. I mean, so, and I try to tell people that, and like a lot of employers wouldn't cooperate with it. So it makes me hard to know how to trust.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this, Carla, because, a lot of people would throw their hands up in the air and be like, you know what, it costs too much. I don't want to deal with this. Employers are a nightmare to handle and deal with and everything else. What motivates you to keep going forward?
Well, there's people that help me through that stuff. That like they say they don't like this either, but they help me kind of deal with it. So I would go out and do carts instead at work a lot of times to avoid having to do anything during COVID that was inside.
Yeah. But I guess my question is, what keeps you going to want to do these sports and when costs can be astronomical and difficult to attain gainful employment and just everything involved with the sports in general? What keeps you going?
Well, I want to keep the weight I lost 10 years ago off, for one. And for another, mentally, it helps me because if I sit around and do nothing, I get depressed and like I don't know if I feel alone because I have depression and anxiety. I don't really have as many friends as I'd like to get up here. I have acquaintances, but nobody really to hang out with.
Well, thank you for sharing that vulnerability with us, Carla, because I think there's a lot of times where people can feel alone, especially in these sports where there's not a training group nearby and end up doing a lot of these things alone. So thank you for sharing that vulnerability, and hopefully that'll help inspire and motivate others to try to get involved with these sports too. So
and another interesting thing I was going to mention, that now you say that, is there's a lot of people in ultras that I've met that have lost loved ones, and that's why they run and do things, or else they've had addictions to alcohol or other things. So it's another reason to get involved in this sort of stuff, because you meet a lot of people with similar struggles.
Yeah, you absolutely do. I mean, I've been involved in endurance sports this is my 16th year, and like a lot of people, I started with road running, and then triathlon became a thing, and then ultra running became a thing. And you tend to find yourself, you tend to find the people that are most aligned with you, and we've all had a battle, and it's why we started this company. Was we've all battled through something, and endurance sports has been the conduit to help us get through that kind of stuff. So my next question for you is, when it comes to ultra running and Ironman or triathlon in general, which do you find to be harder and why?
Well, probably the triathlon, because there's more of a cutoff, and say for like you have to reach a certain distance versus like ultra running where you can do whatever what amount of miles you want and still finish.
So when it comes to Ironman Arizona, where does your fear of missing that cutoff lie, and where is that, yeah, I got this part lie? Are you nervous about the water, the bike, the run?
The bike and the arrow, doing the arrow thing up on the beeline. Outside of that, I feel confident in the swim and the run because I've already been able to manage those distances. The last week I swam 4,000 meters in the pool, so I'm already ready.
Good for you. The boredom of going up and down a lane for 4,000 meters will get you mentally strong for just about anything, won't it?
Yeah.
Before we go on, I just want to reintroduce myself. My name is Jason Bahamundi. I am the founder and one of the co-owners of Run Try Bike. We're talking to Carla Simon today, who has autism and has suffered from epilepsy in the past, and who is just in a remarkable story, and I had the opportunity to meet her at Across the Years. If you have questions for Carla, please put them into the comment box down below or tap the little question mark, and I'll be sure to get that question asked of her. In addition to that, if you missed any part of this conversation, it'll be on our feed when the conversation ends, as well as on Carla's. Plus, it'll be on our YouTube channel tomorrow, as well as on our podcast next week, which you can get on Apple, Spotify, and Google. So, Carla, I've gone through your Instagram account repeatedly to look for items, and one of the things that jumped out at me was the all-world athlete that you received from Ironman. What did that feel like when you got that notification?
It felt really good. It feels like maybe I can get a chance to someday compete at Kona or Nice if we're given the chance. I might have a chance to do that. I'm hoping so. I can join Chris Nykic, another athlete with disabilities who finished at Kona this past year.
Yeah. So did you find inspiration from him? Is that something that you thought to yourself, if he can do it, so can I?
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, like him, I've got weak muscle tones in my muscles, so I have a thing called dyspraxia, where sometimes some of my muscles don't work the way they should. And like that's why I run on my tiptoes and sometimes have more of a different swim stroke than some people might be used to. People notice that when I run, they're like, you run on your tiptoes. I'm like, yeah, it works for me though.
Let that be a lesson, people. Run how you feel most comfortable. Yes, there are definitely certain guides and forums, but there are definitely, do what works best for you. So we have a question here. Who and how did you get involved in endurance sports?
Well, I got involved through, like I said, I started off with a Special Olympics Run Club, and that kind of, got connections through that, and they got me connected for other running clubs. So I met people through there that got me into endurance sports. And so, and I met people through those marathons that ran ultras, and so they convinced me I could do one. So I worked my way up from meeting other people through the running community.
So, but did they say to you, hey, Carla, I think you should be a part of this process? Or were you saying to people, hey, I want to lose weight, I want to get physically fit, I want to do things, and they said, hey, here's an opportunity through Special Olympics?
Well, I had people that told me I could do it through Special Olympics, through coaches that told me I could work my way up. And they're the ones that introduced me to people that have done that. And then through running, I paced somebody in an ultra, and that's what got me addicted at Across the Years, because I paced another runner, and when I was doing the 6-day race there.
Very cool. So we have a comment from Kathy Jansen, who's just wanted to say hi from Arizona. I don't know if you know who Kathy is, Carla.
Yeah, I do. They came and cheered me on at half Ironman Arizona. They're Special Olympic athletes' parents that came. Her husband has done Ironmans too, so they're kind of the reason I got motivated to do them too, is meeting them.
Perfect, awesome, Kathy. Thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. So, do you feel like you are an inspiring persona and a motivating persona to others? Like, do you recognize that in yourself?
I do. And I get comments from people all the time how awesome I am, how I motivate them and their kids with autism and disabilities to work their way up too.
Do you feel pressure to perform and continue to be a part of the endurance world, knowing that there are others that are looking up to you?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially when I'm at my weakest moment, but that helps me keep going in some ways too. That I know there's people watching, and I have a reason to keep moving.
That's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. Because, I mean, honestly, our conversation at Across the Years inspired and motivated me. And when Om told me that you were wanting to be a willing participant in this conversation, I was super excited and was thrilled to be able to have this conversation with you. We have another question from AZ Runner Mama. She said, will we see you at Across the Years in December? And if so, what distance will you be going for?
I'm not sure about the Across the Years thing yet. First, I've got to get through my few trips for half Ironmans and Ironmans. I'm doing 3 half Ironmans this year, and then my first full Ironman in Arizona at the end of November, so I may have to recover some from that stuff for that busy
That's a
schedule.
big season. Which 3 half Ironman are you doing?
I'm doing Ironman Steelhead 70.3 in June. Then in September, I've got Ironman Michigan 70.3. Then Arizona's 70.3 in October. Then full Ironman in November for Arizona.
Awesome. So when you come down here for the half in October, will you just stay here in Arizona through the full?
I'm probably not, unless somebody else can offer me a place to stay for a month. I'll probably fly back and then come back again. If I can afford it all. We'll see.
That's a lot
I
of.
want to do it.
So we have another comment from AK Ultra Run One, who said, Carla, you were absolutely, and in big capital letters, motivating and inspiring and across the years. Do you really know the impact that you have, honestly?
I do. I do somewhat. I mean, someday I'm hoping I can get that into more businesses in the work world too, and show them too that what we can do and use it there.
Absolutely. Because you really truly are an inspiration and motivation. I mean, when we posted on our Instagram feed that we were going to be chatting with you today, the comments came flooding in, and it was probably one of the highest engagements that we've had. And sometimes I think people say, yeah, I know, and I understand the type of inspiration and motivation I bring to people, but I don't think they always really fully comprehend how inspiring and motivating they are. That's why I asked you that question again.
Yeah, and how much we have to push harder to get where we're at too. That's another thing.
Absolutely. I mean, so let me ask you this: do you have there ever been instances in which you felt sort of dismissed by people when it comes to having to deal with your intellectual disabilities and the endurance sports world?
Yeah, sometimes because I'm on the higher level of the autism spectrum. Some people are like, "So you don't look like you have autism." Like, well, you got to see me in certain spots to know that I have it.
Yeah, I mean, so we just had an article on our website about overcoming invisible challenges, and it was one of the most engaged articles we had, because there are times where people don't know. We're talking to you today. We talked to Brandon, who is dealing with AS a couple of weeks ago. We know of people who are dealing with AS or MS or RA for that matter, and these invisible disabilities as well as the ones that are visible. To your point, right? You don't look like you have autism. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, in all honesty. Like, I don't know what that definition is supposed to mean, but I'm glad you're able to handle it with grace and inform the people around you and our endurance sports community of what that looks like.
Yeah, and then I mean, like, so now they put the whole spectrum in one, because a lot of people didn't like that they were putting it by levels. Because I mean, there's certain times where people like me can have our harder moments that are harder to face than the people with on lower levels that can't talk at all.
Right. So I'm gonna one more question for you, and I'd love to get some in-depth response from you about this, because I think it's super important, because we all know in general how expensive triathlon is, from swim gear to bike gear to run gear, and obviously if you want to travel. So you mentioned potentially wanting to race in Kona and wanting to race in Nice and all these other places, yet simultaneously having difficulty with employment. So how can race organizations help you get to events and help broaden the spectrum of athletes that can race?
Well, maybe we can be promotional speakers for the organization, like be able to go places to talk about how we can do Ironman and stuff, and how that can help bring the community together. I know I talked to one of the Ironman guys one time and said he's trying to build our category more and find more people to do it. But I say the way to do it is get more of us to get out and speak. Pay us to do that. Be motivational speakers.
Yeah, and so when it comes to that kind of thing, are you know, and you don't have to flesh it all out in this conversation, but in that scenario, if Ironman or another organization said, we'll waive the cost of the event for you to come and speak to us, is that kind of what you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of. There's a way to, but more what I would like is, I mean, it ain't the fee of the race itself, but like paying to get there, like flying there, the rental cars is what cost me more than anything.
Right. Yeah, and it comes back to the ability to be gainfully employed so that you can afford, you know, to travel and figure out ways to overcome and compensate for that, correct?
Yeah.
So, what do you want to tell the audience before we dive into our rapid fire questions? What do we need to know about Carla that I didn't ask about?
Um, what we need to know about me is I have a lot of strength in me that some people might not even know I have, and you can do anything you set your mind to as possible, as long as you think about it and go for it. You can do
I
it.
love it. So we tell people that all the time, right? Like, stop worrying, start doing. There's never going to be the right time or the perfect time. The right time to start was 1 second ago. So, time to get started and get moving forward.
Or like what somebody said, focus on the now, don't focus on the future, the past. Focus on where you're at now, and then work your way up.
That's right. Because honestly, when it's all said and done, the bad thing that you're worrying about is probably not the bad thing that's going to happen, but something else.
Yeah.
So are you ready for our rapid fire questions, Carla? They're mostly surrounding food, but
Sure.
awesome. So before we get to the food questions, let me ask you this. When you're out running, do you prefer to listen to music, listen to a podcast, or nothing at all?
Music. It depends on the distance, though. If you're running 200 miles, you're going to need the music.
Oh, that's not true. I ran Cocodona without any music.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
For me, I want to listen to nature. I want to hear my footsteps. I want to hear the things around me. So that's my music is the.
Well, Cocodona makes sense because you're in a wooded area. If you're running loops, it's a different story.
That's true. You're right. If you're going around a half-mile circle over here in Phoenix, then definitely want to tune out a little bit, right?
If I'm running 100, 200 miles in the hiking trails or woods, I'm going to want to look at stuff too.
Exactly. I love it. So which do you prefer? Are you a TV show or movie person?
Oh, if you're talking about TV shows, like game shows, I like Jeopardy. I just watched that before we came on because I'm good at mind games.
Awesome. Do you enjoy movies?
Yeah, I like movies like sci-fi, like Twister and Jurassic Park. Old school good movies.
Awesome. All right, so here comes the food questions. When it comes to pizza, are you a fan of pineapple on pizza, or you keep that off of my pizza group?
Keep it off now.
That's right. We got another one. So for Ohm, who's keeping score, I think this is our 43rd fireside chat. I think we're starting to get more people who are anti-pineapple on pizza. I love it.
Pepperoni and jalapeno, something with spice on it.
There you go. Perfect. So candy corn. Is candy corn a real candy, or is it just earwax with sugar?
It's gross. I don't even want any of that stuff.
Fantastic. What about Peeps? And apologies to the founder of Peeps who just recently passed away. But are Peeps a real candy, or are they nothing more than a dust ball with glitter on them?
Nothing more than a dust ball to me. Give me Reese's Easter eggs or something. That's my type of thing this time of year.
Perfect. So do you like Cadbury eggs?
I never had any of those, but I'll have Reese's. Anything Reese's is what I gotta have.
So you're a peanut butter fan then?
Yeah.
Awesome. Red velvet cake. Is it a real flavor, or is it nothing more than chocolate cake with red food dye?
Yeah, I like red velvet cake. Anything with cake sounds good. They have cake after a race. They're my friends.
That's right. What's your favorite type of cake then? Favorite flavor?
Well, I like white frosting cake. Anything with white cake.
So I am a huge carrot cake fan. Like, I love.
Oh, carrot cake too. Yes, carrot cake.
Are you a fan of raisins in your carrot cake, or no raisins in your carrot cake?
No raisins.
Oh, gotta have raisins, Carla. Gotta have raisins.
I like cheesecake too.
Cake, yeah. So there are two varieties. Do you like Italian cheesecake or New York style cheesecake?
Both. Anything cheesecake.
Then you're in the perfect state. If anything cheesy, Wisconsin's perfect.
Yeah.
Are you gnawing off on some cheese curds while you're up there these days?
No.
Not for you. So there are three styles of pizza that I personally will recognize: New York, Chicago, and Detroit style. Which is your favorite style of pizza?
Chicago. I had to go for that when I did the Chicago Marathon back in 2019 because I did that marathon and I had to have pizza when I was there. And I was still living in Arizona when I did that race. Came up there.
Carla, the only way you can describe Chicago pizza is that it's a bread bowl with tomato soup in it. That's not pizza.
Well, I heard New York has better style. I better try it sometime to find out if I ever get to do the New York City Marathon. I'll go out and try it.
That's right. I'll give you places to go try New York City pizza. I'm born and raised, so I know where to get. So, do you like barbecue?
Yeah.
Awesome. So barbecue can create a lot of dissension amongst people. So are you a St. Louis style? Are you a Texas style? Or are you a Carolina style barbecue? Which one's your favorite?
See, I wouldn't know because I like anything protein with barbecue, hot dogs, anything with protein in it.
So North Carolina tends to be more vinegary. Texas tends to be more wet. And St. Louis tends to be more dry.
Oh, probably the middle one, the more wet.
You like to have it running down your arm?
Yeah.
Like 17 napkins cleaning it off?
Anything with barbecue sandwich.
There you go.
Floppy dough type.
Are you a fan of ice cream?
Yes.
Favorite flavor?
Give me Cold Stone any
Cold
day.
Stone?
That was yeah.
What's your favorite flavor ice cream?
Birthday cake remix. I've got to have that from them.
Look at that. We love food, clearly, you and I both. So you must have a favorite pie.
Let's see what kind of pie I like. I like chocolate pudding pie.
Pudding pie. I'm a key lime pie fan. Key lime pie all day. Give me that tartness. Carla, thank you so much for joining us. I had a blast. I can't tell you enough how inspiring and motivating you are to me, and I hope to the rest of the audience and followers that watch this video and listen to the podcast down the road. Outside of being on Instagram, is there any place that we can follow your journeys and root for you as you go through your 370.3s and your Ironman at Arizona in November?
I post a lot on Facebook, so I have Facebook pages. I have at least 3 because I have so many people I keep in contact with.
Very cool. Well, Carla, thank you so much for your time. This video will be up on the Instagram feed here in a moment. Appreciate it. If there's anything we can do to help you, please let us know, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.